This fire, Mr. Speaker, was a treetop fire. It jumped from treetop to treetop and through flaming pine cones kilometers ahead of it, which is what set this burn. This is a result of climate change.
Justin Trudeau goes on an unhinged rant about climate change and forest fires in the House of Parliament. Oh, I wish I could make this stuff up. It is just crazy, the words that are coming out of this guy's mouth at this point. I mean, he's lost all support from even the Liberals. There's some crazy unhinged Liberals that are still supporting him. And, well, of course, the NDP and the Bloc Québécois are propping him up. But, yeah, Canadians have lost all faith in this guy. And he's going on unhinged, crazy rants. And Alex Zoltan catching this one happening now. Trudeau begins screaming about flying, flaming pine cones. Wow, truly unhinged and wild behavior on display here. That's exactly right. Pierre Poilievre correctly notes, Mr. Speaker, that type of erratic screaming about flying, flaming pine cones isn't solving anything. Let's get to the clip here.
And emissions and creating growth and jobs. That's what Canadians need.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he pretends you can put out forest fires with taxes. Clearly that has not worked.
Jasper was one of the most fire-smart communities in the country. Over the past years, residents and leaders within Jasper have been exemplary in making sure they were doing everything they could to protect their community. This fire, Mr. Speaker, was a treetop fire. It jumped from treetop to treetop and through flaming pine cones kilometers ahead of it, which is what set this burn. This is a result of climate change, Mr. Speaker. Climate change. He doesn't want to fight.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pause it there. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Does climate change make pine cones fly hundreds of kilometers in the air? Flying, flaming pine cones? This is just absurd. It's craziness. That's where we're at. And of course, Pierre Poilievre has to answer to this. He has to give a response. I think he nails it though.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, that kind of erratic screaming and hollering is not going to tackle the problem of forest fires, screaming about flying pine cones, etc. It's true, the people of Jasper were fire smart. The problem is that the government in Ottawa was fire stupid. They were warned. This government was warned repeatedly over 7 years that they needed to clear the dead wood to prevent the spread of a future fire. Why, instead of bringing in a crippling carbon tax, didn't he clear away the wood and stop leaving a tinderbox to explode?
And at the end of the day, that's exactly what's correct. I mean, experts have been mentioning this for decades, saying that this is very dangerous. This is an old video of Patrick Moore, incidentally, one of the founding members of Greenpeace. He's since left and even wrote a memoir talking about the confessions of a Greenpeace dropout, as he talks about them turning ideological and Marxist, essentially, going into the future. He decided to leave to pursue more actual real environmentalism. Here he's talking about crown fires and how devastating they are and how it's actually a product of forest mismanagement, not climate change.
Fire can be an important and useful component of a healthy forest environment. Crown fires, however, destroy everything in their path and leave in their wake a landscape of dead trees and sterile soil. In recent years, there's been an increase in the number of devastating fires in western forests. These devastating fires are not normal. Decades of fire suppression management has allowed the underbrush to accumulate, creating conditions of excessive fuel in the forest. Fires in recent years have been bigger, hotter, and more catastrophic. Over the last 10 years,
Absolutely. And that is exactly where it's been. And this is from 12 years ago, this video. That's when it was uploaded to the internet. Who knows? It could be even older than that. But that doesn't stop the environmentalists from shifting the goalposts and telling us we're going to be doing this for many, many, many years to come. This is, of course, we're going to fix climate change by taxing people to change the weather. But of course, here's Stephen Guilbeault saying that climate change will be fixed in about 80 to 100 years, but only by taxing Canadians. Here he is.
But the carbon tax itself at 10% of your overall emissions reductions by 2030 is not going to stop a fire from hitting Jasper.
No, and it's going to take years and years. Let me make a parallel. Under a previous Conservative government, Canada worked with the world to tackle ozone depletion. We now know that the ozone layer will have recovered from decades of abuse by humans in 2060, 2070. We signed the agreement in 1987. That's the time scale we're looking at to try and fix climate change. There are no magic solutions.
Oh, there are no magic solutions, but there are magical problems that the government can come in and magically save us from. Here's some other magical problems that are being thrown out there. Here, now we're talking about peak oil again.
Tell the truth, and Mr. Poilievre is not telling the truth. There are 300 economists across this country that have validated the government's assertion that most people get more money back, and it works directly inverse to income. I have invited Mr. Poilievre to speak to those economists, and he has simply refused. At the end of the day, we say 8 out of 10 Canadians get more money back, but I think to make it more real for people in Ontario a family of 4 get over $1,100 a year. That is significantly more than people actually pay in the tax if you are somebody who lives on a modest income. If you think about it, people who live on modest incomes typically will live in apartments or condominiums or small homes where the heating costs are less. They will drive smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles or take public transit where the costs associated with the price on pollution are less. And yet they receive the same rebate, which means on a net basis, people who live on modest incomes are significantly better off. And what Mr. Poilievre is actually saying is he's going to make life more affordable for Canadians by taking money away from those people who actually are the poorest people in Canada. How the heck does that deal with an affordability issue? It is simply ridiculous. They have no view about how to build an economy of the future.
So that sounds like income redistribution. That sounds like Marxist policy, not environmental policy. When are you going to get to the environmental stuff?
Future. Oil and gas will peak this decade.
Oh.
In fact, oil is probably peaking this year.
Oh, it's peaking.
And the economic plan of the Conservative Party of Canada is simply to produce more oil and gas into a market that inevitably, if we are going to fight climate change, will begin to decline.
So just a little heads up. This is, of course, a quick zap 'em again. Our latest prediction for peak oil turned out to be wrong. They've been talking about this for decades and decades and decades, and it all has not taken place. So if they're not giving you fear about peak oil, they're giving you fear about the environment and how things are going to change. And what are the solutions in these cases? It's always income redistribution. It's always more government control and shutting down of industries, shutting down of anything that we could manufacture, including roads. Yeah, that's correct. Here we have it. Major development. Liberal environmental minister Stephen Guilbeault, senior official, has admitted the Trudeau government is in fact considering banning the construction and expansion of roads. Yeah, that's right. This was in the news months ago. They came back and said, oh, I misspoke. I wasn't really doing that. But is it really on the table? I think it really is.
Is the government considering prohibiting road construction through this emergency order?
I'll defer to my colleagues.
The issue of roads and their closure of roads would be one thing that would be under consideration in the context of the development of an order. The order has not been developed.
It is being considered.
Could be one of the things considered, yes.
So they are considering prohibiting road construction through this emergency order? Yes.
The order has not been developed yet.
They are considering. That was
it would be something that would be subject of consideration.
Is the
It
government
would be
considering
something that would be subject of consideration. Yes, that's right. Shut down industry, shut down road building, shut down any future for Canada. This seems to be the MO. Now, you don't have to go very far. I'll leave a link in the description for this, but this is James Lindsay talking on New Disclosures, talking about the 21st century communism. This is actually the plan. De-industrialize, get rid of industry in the Western world to make way for a new Chinese communist model for the planet. I'm not kidding.
This is a fascist cartel organization of our corporate environment that is adopting communist goals. Like what? Like degrowing the West. That's degrowth communism. Why would you do that? To hand over power to China, which is the largest communist power in the world. So you have this communist program, degrowth, primarily under the program, the term of environmentalism. So we're going to degrow our economy, our energy independence and abundance, and we're going to hand over the power and hegemony to the largest communist country in the world, China, which is operating already under Deng Xiaoping theory, or Dengism, which I've advertised much on Twitter, which is in fact communism with a fascist market tucked within it. Secondly, there's this S score, social justice score. The social justice score is all the actual equality programs from Lenin and Stalin implemented. It's not the economic equality, although that's part of it with reparations and affirmative action. It is in fact a both economic equity and social cultural equity program that's being run in order to equalize society. So you have the S part of ESG is importing communism through a fascist model. And the G score actually installs sustainability officers, ESG officers, DEI officers, in other words, commissars, and creates a fascist structure to the corporate environment in order to move communist goals.
Now, doesn't that sound pretty? Doesn't that sound pretty altogether? Now, what is the product of all of this environmentalism? Does it bring, a better looking outlook for the environment? Well, no, not really. Here's a massive fire that erupted at Port of Montreal in a refrigerated container holding over 15,000 kilograms of lithium batteries. Residents have either been evacuated or placed under lockdown for health and safety reasons. This is just one example of many, many examples of how this new green revolution is not very green at all. And it's very, very detrimental to the environment, and not only the environment, but your health. I mean, they're pushing us away from meat products and into vegetable products. Well, what's our history like on that? Let's turn to Dr. Paul Saladano, MD, where he talks about how they convinced us to eat engine lubricant. I'm not kidding.
This is how Canada convinced you to eat engine lubricant. This is the crazy history of canola oil. Canola oil is derived from the seeds of the rape plant. It's rapeseed oil, and it was originally developed in World War II to lubricate ships and steam engines because the oil sticks to wet metal. Now, during World War II, the United States needed to build a lot of ships, and we didn't really have enough of this rapeseed oil to lubricate the parts that were going to get wet. So the US government asked Canada to increase their production of rapeseed oil to help with the war effort. But at the end of World War II, demand for this rapeseed oil dropped precipitously, and Canada needed to find a way to keep selling something it had put so many resources into producing in high amounts. The problem—
Spoilers. They convinced you to eat it. Now, there's a lot of toxins in it, and they changed some things about it. But at the end of the day, it really didn't make it healthy for you.
Especially in the United States. And if you listen to mainstream health authorities or the American College of Cardiology, they'll tell you this oil is healthy for you. But I beg to differ. There are multiple studies in both animal and human models showing clearly that seed oils like canola oil are harmful for us. Another problem with canola oil and other seed oils is that in order to get these oils from the seeds of plants, they must be highly refined, exposed to many extracting agents that are carcinogenic like benzene, hexane, and heated to high temperatures leading to oxidation of these fragile oils. And exposure to high heat in the distillation process leads to oxidation and the formation of significant amounts of trans fats. So these oils are toxic in so many different ways.
Oh,
so don't be
lovely, 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 lovely. And that is what they're trying to push us into. Check out the video from earlier today, talking with Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, the food professor, talking about how they're trying to take over our entire food industry for the preparedness of pandemics in the future. And guess what? They've labeled climate change as one of these pandemics that we're going to have to prepare for in the future, and largely trying to get us off of animal products and into these things. Read the ingredients on your food. If you can't pronounce it, I'm sure it's delicious and I'm sure it's absolutely healthy for you. But leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say about all of this. It's crazy, unhinged behavior that we're seeing. Last ditch effort from ideological Marxists that are trying to push along this stuff. I mean, why is climate change not an issue in China? Well, they already have a communist government. That's the thing. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you have to say about all of this. Tune in tonight. We're going to be doing a live stream. It's going to be fantastic. Special guests, Alex Zoltan, who you saw his tweets earlier in this video, and Jim McMurtry. We're going to be talking about the things that have been going along, especially about or surrounding free speech in this country, what you can and cannot say regarding particular historical events that have happened in our nation's past. Anyway, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next one. We'll see you tonight. Keep on trucking.